Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this important hearing today, and thanks the witnesses for coming. I also am on the Budget Committee, and I would just note that we've heard a lot about the budget. The budget does presume $10 billion in reduced spending over 10 years, and it's important to note that this program will spend somewhere between $600 and $700 billion over that 10-year period. And I think the presumption is that if there were more stringent work requirements, that there would be certain reductions in levels. Now, I don't know how this will manifest itself, but I can tell you that I don't think I've heard virtually anything here today that one would disagree with. I mean, you hear the problem with the income cliff. I hear this all the time from employers, small business employers in particular, who tell me people will come to them looking for work and they will decline a job because of the prospect of losing benefits, because of the dramatic income cliff. And there's no doubt that I hear from food pantries and others that there's the need and the demand for their services are more significant now than they have been in recent years. So there's something going on. Then I hear from employers constantly who tell me they have jobs, they just can't find qualified people. So what percentage of those people, Ms. Reynolds, do you think on food stamps generally throughout the country are getting the kind of coaching that you're talking about would be so important to getting people into jobs and helping them move in a direction so they have less dependency on these programs?
I would say a very slim margin. And if I could encourage one thing and one thing alone today, I love how your colleague talked about one of his roles was to be an encourager of encouragers, because we have a team just at our Catholic Charities of over 400 people who dedicate their life to trying to move families out of poverty. And so make it easier on us. Make it easier on our team at Catholic Charities and Catholic Charities throughout the country, and align these benefits where it makes sense for families to move ahead.
What if we were to presume some savings in EBT, in SNAP benefits, and plowed those savings into the kind of coaching and educational opportunities for people that that Dr. Holzer is referring to and that Mr. Lotzer is conducting at the community college level?
Yeah, I'm probably not familiar enough about where savings could be realized, but I do think it's really important that we invest differently, that we invest up front, and we invest in intensive case management.
Yeah, Dr. Lotz.
If I could just address that. The vast majority of adults on SNAP never set foot in an American Job Center. There's over 3,000 what we used to call one-stop shops around the country that are there to help connect people to jobs. They never get those services. They never get the counseling available in those centers that would help them identify appropriate education and training activities to improve their employability. So anything we could do within SNAP to better connect people to the labor market services that are already there, I think would be a big step forward.
Maybe a means by which we could perhaps bridge some of the Republican-Democrat philosophical divide would be to actually take savings if they accrue and plow them into those kind of efforts. You know, here's the crux of the matter, it seems to me, that the public is oftentimes very frustrated by what they perceive to be the abuse of the system. A undersheriff in my district related to me not a month ago, every single drug dealer he arrests has an EBT card for food stamps on him. And yet we know, and I've met with the mental health associations in my counties, the important need for people who they may not be single adults, but they may, because of mental health difficulties or other difficulties, what was related about the veteran in Maine, these people simply don't have capacity to work for a variety of reasons, whether it's mental health, whether it's drug addiction, whatever. So there has to be some means by which we can move many more of the people who are in SNAP now and move them into into productive employment by getting at this income cliff that Ms. Reynolds. Any comment that Dr. Holzer or Mr. Lotzer have about the income cliff from your experience?
I would caution. I mean, it's one thing to find an income cliff theoretically for someone who finds themselves at a certain point in the earnings and hours distribution. It's another thing to find a lot of people at that cliff and for it to affect their behavior. The rigorous evidence to date does not show large negative effects on employment because of the SNAP program. It's not like 20 years ago, before welfare reform, where the old welfare system really did disincentivize a lot of people. And SNAP right now, the rigorous evidence, and I would refer you to work by Diane Schanzenbach of Northwestern. Mm-hmm. There's almost no evidence of negative effects on work by men and modest effects on women. So it's not zero, but this notion that massive amounts of work are being deterred is probably not accurate based on the current research.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.